Said, man, you need a decoder ring. We had a couple meetings with CDOT. I was paralyzed by it. It's like worse than PSIA.
Hey, this says, oh, that's for next time.
I mean, they don't use many acronyms, but the terminology is.
Gotcha. It looks like we are, it was the secret sign to
Been
start the
experimenting
meeting.
with the wall.
Okay, so,
Ski like that.
welcome to the Basalt Town Council meeting. We are kicking off at 6:02, or we're trying to kick off, right? Could we get a call to order, a roll call, please? A call to order, roll call.
He's here.
All right, Gary Tenenbaum.
Here.
Rick Stevens.
Here.
Jackie Whitsitt. Here. Mark Kittle.
Here.
Ernie Growler.
Here.
Herschel Ross.
Here.
Thank you, Pam. The next item is the consent agenda. We have the minutes from February 23 and a special event activity permit for Ride the Rockies. Does anybody want to pull either of those off the consent agenda, or is there a motion?
I'd just like to ask a question. Was there any residual problems with or after the Ride the Rockies? Was it all good? Did they do all the things they were supposed to?
We haven't had Ride the Rockies come through recently, so this would be the first time they've come through Basalt.
And there was no problem last year.
There was no problem last year.
Thank you.
Having
Having said that, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. I depend on you, Herschel. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Council, oh, you know what, quickly, I always forget this, even though Pam coaches me endlessly. Just want to thank Grassroots TV for being here and for broadcasting our meeting live. People can also view tonight's meeting and previous council meetings at www.grassrootstv.org. And tonight's videography, which would be more than one videographer, are Sarah Chatham and Amy Gobb. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock is the always Mayor's Coffee at 8 o'clock at Saxy's. Everybody's welcome. Okay, council comments, reports, disclosures, and town manager's report. Council first, Bernie.
Yeah, I'd like to know what visibility we're doing for our excellent model of development on the Pan Port, because all I know is we had it at that one council meeting, and it's not on the town website, it's not up on the our town planning website.
So what we're waiting for is an actual cover, and then we're going to offer it out to groups. One really good place would be the library. So a table with a cover so that people can come in and then just give them a list of locations where people can visit it. And then, didn't we do a video of the model?
Yes, we have a video of the model, and it's on, pictures of it are on the planning department page on the website. And we're actually having an open house on the park plan on Monday, and we're likely to have some kind of a cover on Monday so that we'll have it at the open house.
The cover is a protective cover,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think maybe at the swearing in, it would be good to have in the room and just trot it out whenever we can, as much as we can. I think it's a great educational tool for people.
Is that it, Bernie?
I had the same question. Thanks for answering. Sooner the better. Then on May 14th, 15th, just public service, the Aspen Shootout's coming back to Crown Mountain. And thanks to the town of Basalt for the grant, we're able to fill the deficit we had from last year's tournament and go forward with this one. So, awesome. About 1,200 kids, boys and girls. Crazy town. Get your groceries before Friday.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Especially pre-made sandwiches.
Rob, you got anything? Anybody else on this end? Gary?
do. Just wanted to let everyone know the school district is moving forward with plans for the red brick to, turn the red brick more into an early childcare center. And so it's a really positive step. And so, we're going to continue to work with the school district to have half of it be leased by the town of Basalt, so we can provide childcare that's outside of the school district, so it's full-time
Right.
It's all days, full year type, and so, I'll just keep updating, but so far the school district is moving forward very quickly on this, which is really encouraging to see, so we could get this done sooner than later, so it's exciting.
Aren't you happy to see something happening?
And they're planning on being done by August?
With the planning,
Yeah.
yeah, they're planning on being done by August, so they can start construction,
This is the first, it's a part of the school.
pretty much this fall.
This fall?
Basalt High School.
Thanks, Gary.
Is that gonna be part of yours?
Well, it's gonna be Town of Basalt, and then we, as a town, will decide on
An operator?
the operator. Obviously, Growing Years is a perfect choice since they're right there, but, we're trying to be specific on the provider and just say, here, we have a huge need, we need 3 rooms. So we're gonna have 3 new rooms of early childcare coming online. And so, it's happening, so, but it's really because the community voted for this bond, and the community also said childcare is important, so it's a good thing.
It's wonderful. Thanks, Gary. The only thing I have is that in knocking on doors and making phone calls, it turns out that, as usual, there's a lot of people not registered to vote, or they're registered at the wrong address. So I'm going to throw out there again, it's a really quick and easy check to go to govotecolorado.com. It walks you right through it, and you can just confirm you're registered at the right address. Citizen comments for items on. I'm sorry, yes, sir. Oh, town manager's report. Not used to that.
It's new. So 3 parts. The first part is you have the first of 2 annual reports. And if you remember over the last year, we've had a lot of comments in terms of, we give out a lot of public money, and we need to start asking people for their annual reports. So the first 2 were from the Basalt Public Arts Commission and Art Base. The Art Base was produced by Jenna Moe, who's here. Tim Belinsky's on the board. This is actually a really good summary of what they do in the community. And I think the thing that surprised me most, 11,000 visitors, and then I want to say they work with over 2,000 students at the Art Base, which is really important, especially for Early Release Wednesday. And it's not, no one is prohibited from participating. They have scholarships for those that can't afford. And so it's very accessible and very affordable for kids, which is a really nice thing to have as you're talking about early childhood education and finding other activities for children in the community.
Is there a way we could put this on our website somehow?
This is on the town manager's report, and we will link it from the
Okay.
town's website in both the Basalt Public Arts Commission report and the art-based report. And then I put sort of like a calendar when we expect to get the other reports. Basalt Chamber of Commerce, the BDBA, Basalt Education Foundation, which was one of the requests when we were talking about the golf tournament. The Arts Center at Willits, if they come to fruition, we'll need to be able to know on an annual basis what it is they're doing. And then the idea that in September or October, those people that we've given discretionary money to, we give them a form to sort of fill out and describe how they use the money in the past year. So you can use it as sort of a benchmark if they're requesting money in the next year. Did they fill out a report? What did they do with their money? Things like that. So that's item 1. Item 2, working with SGM and CDOT, we have addendum order number 1. We had a couple of out-of-town contractors that asked if we could extend the bid opening until March 16th. We got the blessing of CDOT. One of the companies actually sent in their estimator from Oregon for the pre-bid meeting. The pre-bid meeting, there were 19 firms. This isn't necessarily 19 firms that are the prime contractors, but we believe there were 6 that could be considered that were at the pre-bid meeting. The pre-bid meeting was optional. The last time it was mandatory, and we only had 2 show up. So our hope is that SGM has generated interest in the project because they've been out, shaking the branches, banging on the doors, and trying to find contractors that could do this work. So we get it on the 16th. We have the 17th and 18th to work on it. We then, at 3 o'clock on the 22nd, will be with Pitkin County a joint meeting in Pitkin County to talk about the bids and where they are. Bernie and the mayor were there last Tuesday, and I will give you sort of the summary. We know you have a gap. We've committed to this much. We will commit to more, but until we see the bids, we don't want to know how much more or really say out loud. But at the same time, I think it was unanimous in terms of the commissioners and the open space and trails that they're sort of our backstop on this project. And they understand that it's really important to the community. And the mayor, you might want to add something.
All I wanted to say is that to a person, both the Open Space Board and the county commissioners were clearly flexible and wanting to support us in getting this thing done, because they totally understand the dangers at that intersection. I hope it keeps going this way.
Yeah, the support has been amazing in terms of Pitkin County. And, I think Commissioner Newman said, I'm not willing to write like a blank check, but I'm willing to contribute more, which was nice to hear.
It went well.
Okay. The last is, we continue to work on the River Park. We continue to work on the CDC parcels related to development. And so I've just taken that resolution that was passed at the beginning of February, and this is just like a quick update, and the updates are in blue. So P&Z continues to meet and discuss with the idea that there would be a joint P&Z and special town council meeting on the 29th for them to update you on where they're at. Next is Post continues to work on their part of it. So you saw their presentation, and Post and Susan are going back and asking DHM to put together, cost estimates for the various phases. If you remember, they sort of phased the park improvements and said, here's how we see it phased. The next is the CDC parcel, and that's about working with Ellers on what all the financial alternatives are as we look at these parcels and as we look at the park improvement. The fourth has to do with the appraisal of the property at some point. The idea is we have to know what the property's worth. Judy and I met with one appraiser, we'll meet with one additional one, and we've talked about all the options using this resolution as our base. If you go down, if you remember, number 9 was take the current Lions Park. We've budgeted approximately $50,000. We've broken the project into 3 pieces. There's the caboose piece, and believe it or not, there's a caboose agreement that says that when we notify the chamber, they have to move the caboose in 10 days. So I just hold that over Robin's head. Good luck.
Good behavior counts.
Yeah, get it moved quickly.
So they have 15 days? Even better.
The art base, and if you remember on the model, the art base is shown as expanded. And when we started having discussions about event space, one of the things that Jenna said, if you're interested in supporting more weddings and more events, let us be the group that does it, and then any profits that we make go back into the art base, and you, the town, don't have to pick up those ongoing operating expenses, which to the town manager's ears is like, great. If you're willing to take that on, if you can make it work, we're willing to support that effort.
So they would be willing to expand their art base on their own without any town assistance?
Right. We're talking about them buying the building and us continuing to own the underlying land like Roaring Fork Conservancy. The third is the town hall. And so we've broken sort of the art base up into 2 pieces that they're working on, one that they've completed and a second one that they'll be working on. The next is Section 10. So Section 10 says that by July 12th, which you think it's a long way away, it is not a long way away, that we would put together all of those pieces that are above. So we know what the property's worth, we know what development potential is, we know how much parkland has to be acquired as part of the overall park project. So, to start having those discussions with potential partners on the park, to have discussions with the developer on contributions to the park in park spaces, what the reimbursement would look like from the developer in terms of how much could the developer reimburse out of that parcel, and actually start working on that business plan so that by the time we hit July 12th, which is the first meeting in July, we have a financial plan that sort of explains all of these pieces so that you can move to have an election in November on the ballot. So that's why we're working on all these things simultaneously. All of these things, the hope is, as we're looking at the pieces on the Lions Park, you know, how do you net out the cost so you're not adding more to the cost of the overall project, so that you preserve as much cash as you can for the park? Because the one thing that I go back to when I look at all of the early drawings, all the middle drawings, all the drawings at the end, this has always been about creating a great park. I mean, from the beginning, everybody talked about a great park. Whether it was they moved everything off of Lions Park and created a great park, or you used the V and the triangle, it's about creating that great park and that great park experience. And I kind of have to remind everybody, you know, the park's always been a big part of this. It's always been key to the overall development of the surrounding parcels. So that's my update, and I'm done with only burning 3 extra minutes.
Question on the town parcel here, you know, where is that? I mean, I see that town hall art-based thing, you know, how do you envision this piece?
Well, if you've looked at every model and you looked at where the V started, this is gone. And so we've looked at all kinds of alternative and explored alternatives. And so we actually have some strategies where we've done building needs assessment, both what are we using in this building and what would we need in a building, and then trying to match it up with existing real estate. And then if you were to build it from scratch, what would it cost? And I can tell you the build it from scratch cost is much higher than finding existing space and retrofitting.
All right, are we finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks,
so- Okay, our next item is citizen comments for items that are not actually on the agenda. Are there any citizens that have comments for items that we're not going to talk about? Robin, come right up.
Falling over the chairs.
How are you?
Well, thank you, finally.
Yeah, that's a
After I
hard
got
one, isn't it?
Mike's.
Don't blame me, or don't, well, you can blame Mike, yeah.
Everybody in town hall does.
I know.
See what happens. So first, Houston. So I would like to first invite all of you to the Chamber's annual meeting. It's established for April 21st, again this year. And we will again do sort of a state of Basalt. And this year we're focusing yet again on innovation, why Basalt is award-winning, highly recognized and innovative. But we are having speakers from the town of Basalt and Picken County and Eagle County in recognition of the efforts that have been made so far to bring more regional collaboration. So we'll get all those details out, but if you could mark your calendars, April 21st at Tempranillo at 11:30. And then just on the point of the Chamber of Commerce, I did want to share with you that we have an incredible new board that's just been appointed and elected. We had our first meeting today. It was packed, which is a rare thing for us. And just to give you an idea of the people on the chamber, we have Rob Martin, who is the head of the Isaacson School of New Media, and Tim Belinsky, who is here tonight, Tony Thompson, Beth Alpert, who was the former director of tourism for Snowmass, and she's going to head up a marketing group with me, and Haley Thompson, who has the Aspen Clinic and also works with Health Links. It's a funded program with hundreds of thousands that they're committing to creating workplace wellness. So the Chamber has created a Workplace Wellness Committee, and we're going to invite the town to participate in this. Businesses who don't have workplace wellness programs will actually get money to develop those, and each business will get a certificate if they achieve that, and then the whole town can get a certificate, which develops for the Chamber and our businesses a destination as a conscious community. So I just wanted to share that. It's a lot of excitement going on, and thank you. You're welcome.
Town Council actions. We have a public hearing and selection of 2016 Roaring Fork Charity Classic beneficiaries. Susan?
One of the most significant benefits that the town council negotiated with the Roaring Fork Club was that the town gets to select beneficiaries for a golf tournament to be held every year. And the money has to be used for Basalt charities, Basalt public causes, and the Roaring Fork Conservancy. And the Roaring Fork Conservancy is actually chosen over the last years to kind of opt out and use different avenues at the Roaring Fork Club for their fundraising opportunities. So the Basalt Education Foundation is going to be the lead beneficiary, and they're going to receive 50% of the net profits from the golf tournament. And the town staff sent out proposals for the other beneficiary that would receive 50% of the funds. And we received 3 applications. We received an application from Access After School, from the Art Base, and from the Basalt Boosters. A selection committee that was made up of Bernie Grauer, Judy Tippett, and Greg DeRosa, who's the general manager from the Roaring Fork Club, met on last Thursday, and they selected the Art Base to be the other participating beneficiary for the Roaring Fork Charity Classic for 2016. Greg DeRosa was going to be here, and I know he wanted to say some words about all of the benefits that the Roaring Fork Club provides to the town of Basalt, and he got stuck down in Glenwood and emailed me that he's not here, but we have Bernie that can add to our selection process. And I'll summarize first, and then Bernie can add anything, but the committee selected the Art Base for a few reasons. One was they wanted to contribute to the vitality efforts that have been going on the downtown area, and they wanted to make sure that the money was spent in the downtown of Basalt, and they wanted a beneficiary that had not received funds in the past from the tournament. The boosters had received funds in 2012 and 2013. So anything else on the selection, Bernie, that you want to add? So I do have Jenna Moe here. She's the executive director from the Wiley, and we're asking her just to make a couple, Art Base. Sorry, it's now known as the Art Base. Sorry, I apologize for that. So Jenna's here, and she's just gonna briefly talk about what the money is going to be used for, and we have Tim Belinsky also, who's on the board from the Art Base, here too.
Hi. Jenna. Thank you so much. We're very excited and grateful for being selected. The money earned through the tournament will go right back into supporting our programs for elementary school students, middle school students, and teens. We offer a variety of different programs after school, in the school, and during the summer. And we focus primarily on at-risk or underserved. And in addition to that, our adults programs with Mountain Valley Developmental Services, and they're kind of adults, but the Yampa Mountain Teen Parents, and the Youth and Addiction Recovery at Valley View Hospital. And yeah, so that's what the money from the tournament will go back into, as our programs. But in general, we're really excited, and our supporters are really energized about what we can do for the community and how we can support revitalizing the economy in the downtown core and stimulating events and tourism with future offerings with an expanded space. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of Jenna before we move on?
Question about, when you talk about the expanded space, when are you going to starting the fundraising for that?
We plan to go into the quiet phase of a capital campaign in 2016 and not launch publicly until 2017. We have nearly completed our strategic philanthropy plan and working on a long-range capital plan for the acquisition of the space and expansion and long-term capital improvements and endowment.
Yeah, great.
There's a new toolkit being developed by the Community Foundation through the career group that serve especially teenagers and younger, not little guys, but, and it's designed to give you some things to think about as you work with these kids in those programs that help them step into careers and figure out if they want to go to college or into the workplace. And it's pretty interesting. They rolled it out, the Aspen Valley Ski Club coaches and a couple of other businesses are buying into it. So, you know, we're trying to get the nonprofits on board a little bit. And Mark Cole at AVSC can tell you more about it.
That's wonderful, thank you. I'll look into that. While I'm up here, I will say that we feel it's our obligation and our duty as a community art center to not only serve the community but collaborate with the community. And just in the last 5 months, we have accumulated numerous new partners, and we worked with Youth Entity at the Basalt Middle School for the My Career, My Life program, which just ended. We partnered with Rocky Mountain Institute for the exhibition that just culminated at the Annex Gallery. We have 2 workshops offered this summer with Rock Bottom Ranch. We're in talks with the Roaring Fork Conservancy about and SKICO about potential exhibitions and programs. So we're doing all we can to bridge art with science and community and development and celebrate Basalt. Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
I can make,
So,
can I just make a motion?
well, we have a public hearing, that was
Yes.
all.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what, actually, I was gonna ask you that. Do we have a resolution or something for a public hearing, or?
We don't need a resolution, but it is a public hearing. The reason it's a public hearing is that was a requirement of the annexation agreement. And before we actually made a motion, I did want to just kind of point out that the motion approves the art base as a participating beneficiary, with the Basalt Education Foundation as the lead beneficiary per the summary. And so it's really doing those 2 pieces, and it's making it formal that the Basalt Education Foundation is the lead beneficiary. And then as Councilor Grauer had requested at a prior meeting, sometime after the election, we'll have a work session just to talk about the process in the future, about how we make the selection on future beneficiaries.
We're almost a commissioner, Bernie. That's like about $100,000 more a year.
Well, I was a commissioner on the planning commission, and that's $0 a year. I moved up here.
So Gary, did you want, okay, this is a public hearing. We're gonna open the public hearing at 6:30. If anybody has questions or comments regarding this particular item, please speak now. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there any other comments or anything from council before we take motion? Go for it.
Make a motion to approve the art base as the participating beneficiary for the selection committee recommendation. Basalt Education Foundation will have the lead organizing role for the 2016 Roaring Fork Club charity.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bernie,
guys.
for
Congratulations.
spending
Great
the
work.
time on that.
Thank you. Yay, everybody. Okay, next one is also a public hearing and ordinance of the town of Basalt approving an easement agreement. This is second reading. For the construction of a deck or similar structure in a public drainage easement on Lot 5, Riverside Edition, 180 Riverside Drive. James.
Can I comment real quick?
Sure, sir.
He's my neighbor. That's my house right behind there at 180. There was I got a call from a neighbor that referenced something in the approval that this was going into the riparian zone. So I didn't think so, obviously, but maybe there's a spelling or something in the document that mentioned that, just so you know. Definitely not riparian.
Not repairing.
Welcome.
This is second reading of an ordinance. It would approve an easement agreement, as the mayor indicated, for the potential construction of a deck or similar structure in the 20-foot public drainage easement that is on the east side of Riverside Drive property. As discussed at first reading, there aren't any drainage improvements in the existing drainage easement. The property owner wishes to construct a deck or similar structure. In reviewing the request, staff consulted with the Public Works Department, and the Public Works Department has no short-term plans to install curb and gutter on the north side of Riverside Drive. So we've drafted an easement agreement to allow for the deck and patio in the easement. It includes language indemnifying the town if we damage or remove improvements in the future in installing any public drainage improvements. Council approved the ordinance on first reading. There was a typo that was corrected on page 2, paragraph 4, between first and second reading. We just added the language may in terms of both parties may terminate the agreement in writing if we choose to. Staff this evening would recommend taking comments from the applicant, if there are any, taking public discussion because it is a public hearing, and then providing council discussion. Ultimately, if the council is comfortable with the easement agreement, you could approve it on second reading. This is Brian Rose, he's property owner.
Hello all.
Brian, you have any additional comments you'd like to add?
Not in particular.
Since there aren't any further applicant or staff comments, we will open the public hearing at 6:35. Is there anybody in the public who has questions or comments regarding this application? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Council, comments, questions?
Well, I mean, the riparian area, that's absurd if that's, you know, a riparian area. So that's a mute, to me, a moot point.
Mayor, I move the town council approve ordinance 10 series of 2016 on second reading.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Somebody want to,
I'm sorry?
When do we have to bring something up?
We gotta get it constructed first, which is not an easy task, but we'll throw a good party.
July work for you?
Well, we have the masons slotted in for May, so maybe by July.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, item 8A. 8A is a resolution of the town granting approval for a community garden on the Gray Shehai open space parcel that is jointly owned by the town of Basalt and Pitkin County for the 2016 growing season. Susan.
Susan.
Well, this one's an easy one.
That was an easy one to trip over.
This one actually is an easy one because we've been passing this, a similar resolution for the last 4 years. And there's a typo where it says 3 years, it should be 4 growing seasons. And the other reason it's easy is because your Twitter is going to actually give a presentation. He's from the Garden Collective, and he has some slides. And I think Fran is here also from.
Hi, Fran. Hi, Jerry. These guys are the Garden Collective.
Only a few of them. I hope you've all started your tomato plants.
Or else.
Spring is in the air. Just a quick summary, and then if there are any questions, they introduced you, didn't they, Fran?
Yes.
This is Fran Suter. There are 5 board members, Fran, myself, Gail Sugars, and Patty Overst, and we have a new one, Debbie Lyons.
Patty Overstreet.
Patty Overstreet and Debbie Lyons. Last year, we had about 45 gardeners in the garden. The garden was about 60% full. We're still trying to fill this garden. Because it's not full, you guys have had to kick in $1,600 last year to help cover our costs. Now, the plot costs are $40 each, by the way. That's for an 8x10 plot. Am I speaking loud enough, Herschel, or
There's something,
barely?
there's something vibrating.
That doesn't work.
Okay, all right. And the other cost to the town was we used 176,000 gallons of water. To put that in perspective, that's about how much 2 families would use over a year's time at their own home. So it's not a lot of water. The additional costs to the town mainly is through services. Judy and Bridget especially do all our banking for us. They receive the checks, deposit them, and then pay our bills. In 2016, we had the same goals we had 2015, which is increase the number of gardeners. And we have hired or offered a position to Sarah Horn to be the manager of the garden. She was the manager in 2014 and 2013 and did a really nice job, so we're pleased that she is coming back. And I believe, oh yes, there's only one other comment. The 5 board members do not receive any compensation. And I have to admit, people like Fran and Gail really work hard on this. And it wouldn't get done without them. Are there any questions?
What
Yes,
are
sir.
those hard costs, Jerry?
The hard costs?
The 1,600 you spoke of.
Well, we pay the manager is paid $500 a month for 7 months. That's $3,500 there. I think you're gonna have to kick that. It's not moving. There we, I prepared this slideshow. I hope you get to see the last slide anyhow.
Susan and James fighting over this?
Give the remote to the guy, it'll work better if you did.
Very incorrect.
Well, you know, it's getting a little dry in here up here, Charlie.
It's moving right along now, but the other hard costs, there are a few other hard costs, which are a few tools. We want to mulch the paths. We want to buy a plant barrier to lay down before we mulch it. And can you think of any other hard costs we have? Our outreach sometimes costs us a little bit. We might have to print something, print the poster. Not a lot of different things, really.
Just curious.
Bernie?
Maybe somebody can fill me in. What is the relationship between this community garden and the one over by the gas station, by the roundabout in the park?
We have no relationship to it.
That's a living garden, kind of just seed.
That's a seed, I'm sorry, that's the seed garden that, is a cooperative, arrangement with the library where, in the schools where they have seeds for the library and they do education with the schools and they do demonstration projects and special events. And so it's entirely separate.
Yeah, okay.
Separate purpose. Anybody else have questions about the garden? I guess the one thing I would say is, we've been at the garden, Tim and I have been at the garden since it started, and for those who have never participated in a community garden, it is an unbelievable quiet vitality of making new friends and seeing them every night. They're watering their parcels, and it's really wonderful. So I'm just wondering if something like a Facebook page or something like that that continually be pushed, because I cannot believe that garden is only half full or 60%. So
It suffered a decrease this last year, I think because of the weather and people kind of getting a feel for what it was like, and we didn't do quite as much outreach. We're gonna do more this year, and some of those hard costs had to be upfront costs and weren't anticipated that our garden participants would go. But that's just how it occurred, and we're just gonna continue, and we're looking for sources where we can reach a lot of people. We thought about phone bills, we're gonna try to send out a postcard, we're gonna look into the costs of that to, registered voters, wherever we can get a list and send them out, we're gonna price that out and try to get more people. There's 5 of us, and we're putting flyers up everywhere, so, and participating in winter markets, and it's
Right.
just kind of a tough sell in the winter, and then
right.
just getting the word out in the summertime.
Can we get it on the highway sign at any point in the spring?
Yeah, we could. I mean, one thing that I just thought of, and just looking at it, is, when you're at Whole Foods and they ask you what do you want to donate to,
Oh, yeah.
the idea that there could be a period of time where in the bags, they would put that community garden like flyer or card, and we could work with the community garden to come up with whatever they wanted, and then talk with Whole Foods about, pick a 2-week period where you just put in cards.
Great.
Well, and also, one of the things about the community garden that we've seen, when, is startup cost is huge. And so, you know, that's one of the things that we could look at as a community is how we help do that. I mean, we have a professional manager now, you know, how could that person help interact with newer gardeners? Because it is daunting, because we watch this a lot, because from Picken County Open Space, it surrounds it, and, you know, people start it and some people just kind of let it go. I don't think they realize what they're getting into, and more educational.
Gardening's hard work.
It's very hard work, so more educational pieces, and I don't know who we work with on that, but if we could find ways to do it, I don't think you guys have to fund it all. I think there are organizations and there's other communities to help do that.
So maybe we can think further, like some of us who are interested in this can help outside of this format. So we don't make everybody who doesn't care about growing carrots listen to us.
Gentleman that was just in here,
Yes, Rick?
Brian Rose is a master gardener. We could have made it a condition of his easement approval.
I like it.
Figure something out.
Okay, so this is actually a resolution.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 11, Series of 2016.
Second.
Further discussion?
I just have one question. The gravel road that goes up there behind the school now, is that more or less where the property butts up to the school district's property?
Almost.
I'm sorry, you asking, is that where the garden is?
Not
No.
where the garden is, but where is the gravel road that goes up, parallels the, between the school and the gardens? It goes up behind the school. Is that totally on the school's property?
There
No.
are two roads there. There's one next to the garden, which I believe is the town's, I'm not sure.
Goes to the water
And then there's
tank?
one closer to the school, which is probably school property. I have,
There's that road, Rick.
To the road that goes up to the water tank.
The property line is? Okay.
Is there a question about that property line from somebody out there?
No.
Oh,
just-
okay.
Well, they have the opportunity to expand this by another half an acre. But, you know, it's good to have expansion opportunities too. It's, you know, potentially there'll be more people living out there.
So how many acres is currently,
we're having
it's 28
discussion.
acres, right, on Gray Shee High?
Grace High is, was it
7.
20, what?
25.
Yeah, about 25.
Okay.
And it was, basically, an acre was put aside for the community garden. They fenced a half an acre, and it could be expanded, you know, within the management plan. It wouldn't take much to, it would just take a fence to expand it, so.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys, for
thank
your
you,
hard
and
work.
thanks for your suggestions.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is first reading of ordinance 11, 2016, an ordinance amending the town's fee schedule for the Renewable Energy Mitigation Program, REMP, and this is James. In talking with Mike about this earlier, it sounds like this is on the verge of a housekeeping issue?
For the most part.
Good, okay.
It's a correction, first reading ordinance to reinstate the ramp fee for houses that are over 3,500 square foot. When the town adopted ordinance 21 of 2015 related to the sustainable building regulations for commercial and multifamily, the fee dropped out inadvertently. We were intending to take it from the code and put it into the fee schedule because staff is trying to get all our fees in the fee schedule so they're in one spot. We haven't had any building permits come in since it dropped out, so we're doing a housekeeping to reinstate it and make sure it's in the code. So,
Ms. Marcus?
So they can get out of paying the $3,500 by installing 2 thermal or 2 photovoltaic
Right.
solar panels?
yeah, so the code, the way it is now, references back to the fee schedule, but there's not the fee.
Okay.
So that's what we're adding now.
Okay. Yeah, Gary?
So question on, where did that 3,500 come from? And does it have, is it just arbitrary?
Yeah, I think it was originally arbitrary, and it's not an escalator, so it stays at the 3,500 for residences.
And that's, when we first did that, that's about what it costs for a set of 2 solar panels.
Could we tie it to something so it doesn't, you know, what I've seen is that some of our stuff gets stale after a while, and something will cost $7,000, and we only ask for $3,500. It's just a way for the town to keep up on alternative energy.
Yeah, between first and second reading, staff could kind of do a costing on what it costs to do to.
Well, solar's gone down since this was written 10 years ago.
Right, but should we be asking,
For less.
you know, well, no, not asking for less, but, you know, the whole thing is we're trying to combat global warming and trying to promote
Smaller
renewable
houses.
energies with this. So should we be, you know, more progressive in this since we have another look at it? I'm not asking for a $10,000 deal, but
Well-
just a way to make sure that, you know, that we are doing our best to make sure that we are installing as much renewable energy as we can possibly for larger residences, that they're truly mitigating impacts.
What is the word I'm looking for?
Just say it.
Disincentivize?
Yeah, disincentivize, exactly.
You win.
Would be maybe 3,500 for anything between 35 and 5, and then from 5 to 7,000.
Well, we don't go over 5, yeah.
Oh, that's right,
That's fine.
okay. Disregard that last.
You're coming from a different,
I'm coming from.
So can you go ahead, Rob.
And where does the rent fees go?
Rent fees go back to the town in a restricted fund, and we consult with CORE. We have CORE in there to evaluate how that money is spent, and they give us recommendations with the green team, and we bring it back to the council.
So I'm going to ask Mark specifically, do you have some specific direction as to what you would like to see staff bring back for second reading?
I think it's fine.
Okay, good.
Gary might not think that.
Well, is there somebody who doesn't think
or
it's
we can just
fine?
come in, just give me the cost, like if you just look at that,
Sure,
just so I see it.
you bet.
Okay. Anything else, or?
I move approval of ordinance 11, series of 2016 on first reading and set the public hearing and second reading
Oh,
for
good
March
catch.
22nd.
Good
Second.
one. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. First reading of ordinance 12, an ordinance of the town setting the salary of the mayor and town council.
Do we have to all recuse ourselves for this?
Yes, we all have to leave.
No.
Right.
Well, no, but could the people who are running, are the people who are running for election, are they allowed to vote?
Yes.
They're raising their salary.
We don't know, do we?
You don't know for sure.
Okay, let's all, guys, let's just do it one person at a time, please. Okay, who has actually got this particular item?
I do.
Okay,
So, over the last 2 years, or really 3 years, we started with Mount State's Employment Council, and we reviewed all the jobs in the town, using both job descriptions and then what people were actually doing. Sometimes we match up to job descriptions, get all of our salary ranges established, and then people put into the salary. One of the things that we did along the way was we accumulated salary survey information on elected officials. And so the salary survey that you see in here tonight is the latest information that we have on elected official positions. When we looked at town salaries in general, appointed and elected, the last time that elected official salaries were reviewed was part of the 2008 budget, which was actually in 2007. So that would have been 9 years ago. And what we're recommending is, if you're looking at a point in time in which to consider the point in time that creates the least disparity between people serving on the council is really the month preceding the election. Understand that 3 people, Gary, Mark, and Bernie, if they vote for this tonight, it doesn't impact them. They will not receive an increase in salary when this ordinance becomes effective. Their term has to expire and a new term start before they could receive it. The 4 other positions that are up for election at this time, whoever fills those positions, that salary would increase when this ordinance passed and they're sworn in. So that would be their next term. So if you go to the end of the action item summary, I take that portion of the charter and basically repeat it so that you know what it says. Any change or increase passed during a councilor's or the mayor's current term of office shall not take effect with respect to that official until a subsequent term, if any. And the thing that I would urge you to think about is this is about position. It's not about the people in the office. It's about the position of town councilor and mayor and what they should be compensated.
Okay. So, does anybody, yes, Rick?
The other thing that was done this year that I think is, very beneficial is the opportunity to get health insurance through the town.
Yeah.
And so the event that,
It's huge.
it's a big deal these days, and, we didn't really have any issue passing that, so, and that takes effect no matter who's sitting here.
Right.
As soon as you're elected, whether you get a raise or not, because you're gonna be here for another couple of years, you still have that available to you. So I think it just reflects the nature of the beast around here is what you need to do to incentivize, or, people to take up this office.
Right.
Just wanna make sure we have a view of the total compensation that's available here, because could be as much as a $500 a month bump.
You do pay it yourself, though, just so you
Well,
know.
but the fact that you're part of
That
the
you're able to
group,
get, right, exactly.
It's, you
Oh,
know,
God, yes.
yeah, you'd be paying double that, and so it's a
If you
pretty
could
big
get it.
benefit.
Yeah, Rob?
Mike, just to clarify, 2007, there was a review, was it also changed the salaries, or they just reviewed them and compared them?
I didn't go back and look.
Yes.
I'm gonna-
They went up.
Went up?
They went up.
Okay.
I'm getting paid a ton more now than I did my first. All of
A ton.
$200.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
Gary, do you have something?
I got 100 of them.
Okay. Bernie?
All right, as somebody who's not going to benefit from this, whatever the results of the election, I do support it, and I really think it's a good thing to encourage civic involvement. People who do this mainly, of course, do it out of civic interest, but it can take a bit of time, and it's not just the meetings. We're going to represent Basalt and participate in regional meetings, and I think, not everybody, there are a lot of working people for whom this may be somewhat significant with their time, and so I think that we've done the salary survey, and we're just bringing it up to, what's kind of the going rate in the overall valley. I do support it.
Is that a motion?
Yes. Let's see. Madam Mayor, I move that the council, approve ordinance number 12, series of 216 on first reading, and set the public hearing and second reading for March 22nd, 2016.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody. It looks to me like we don't have anything else unless there's questions of staff, or that's it.
Wow.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Look, that's a record, I think. That
Thank
could be
you,
a
Mike
record.
Scanlon. Woo!
3 minutes to spare.
That is amazing. Yes.
That could be a new record.
Any fork or anything?
Yeah, or the size of the
Gary,
pipe.
Are you gonna call Shannon?